Welcome back to IoT Simplified. Today we're going to continue our look at Power BI with the report you can see on the screen at the moment. So this is our vibration data with my X, Y and Z axis from the vibration sensor. We've got a tooltip here showing more information. What I'm going to show you how to do through this video is to get it to show you the last value. Now on this page we have two filters, one for the alarm conditions for each one of those axes, and then we have a time. So we'll put this on the current date, and we can see here that this is always our last value. But don't forget, this doesn't auto refresh by standards, so we need to have a look at moving this date and time. So what I want to do is generate a landing page where the customer or the user will always be shown the last status of that instrument or sensor. So it's not going to be affected by any of the filters. They can go on there, see an overview of their sensors and know which ones aren't performing at that precise moment in time. They can then come to this screen to see how it's been performing over weeks, months, years. But what we need to do is filter the last value. So if we have a look at our table, we're now talking about rows. So we have columns here. We have all of our information in each row. What we want to be able to do is filter using DAX command this value here at this time. So what's really important is that we do have a good time and date stamp within one of our columns, because we're going to use that in our filter. It will make sense later on, but here we're quite lucky because as part of the IoT Hub settings, it will add this event process use UTC time. I can click on this refresh here as it needs a manual refresh on Power BI desktop. So let's have a look at how we can add a DAX command to filter out the last process value. And in this instance, we just want it to pull the last time it reported a value into our report screen. If we want to use this DAX command, I'm pretty sure it can't be used by adding an extra column to this data set and then doing that filter, because we're filtering by a row, so it would get confused here. So the way you have to do it is by going back to your report screen and then setting up a new measure. So if we right click here, we have the option to do new measure. Before we do that, let's have a look at the DAX command we're going to use. The DAX command we're going to use is LASTNONVALUE blank, and we have to build up the expression with a column that we want to look at. So the column that we're pulling the value from and the expression. Now this can be done for a single column or a reference column. A Boolean expression defines a single column or a table. So in our example, we're going to leave this at 1, the expression, and then we're going to build the column up, and then we're going to add a filter in after this to filter it on the latest time. So let's have a look at how we build the expression back up in Power BI. So as I said, come over here, new measure, and then we get this table. We're going to call this last time. Let's start building up our expression. Again, I'm not an advanced coder. I've got this from the example, so type in calculate and we'll use this to build the expression up for us. It's already opened the bracket, and as I said, it's LASTNONBLANK is the command that we're using, and then we need to find the column that we're going to want to reference, so that the value we want to sort, and that is in my table, which is called query. So let's type that in, and you can see here now I can start filtering. I want to just bring in my last processed value time, and then we need to start building our filter up. So if I type in filter, and then it should have put the brackets in, and I want to filter all, and then what table am I pulling, which table am I going to filter? So it's query 1. And then I can close that. And the process value I'm looking at in that table is my process time. And I want that to equal the maximum value, which, because we're counting up in time, the maximum value should be the latest time. And then we'll just close off all of our brackets to finish that off. There we have our new measure using our new formula. I will put this command into the chat so you can cut and paste it and just edit the table details here. That's all you're going to have to edit, and it should work in your code. As I said, you need to make sure that you have the proper date and time format in one of your columns for this to work. So let's have a look at how we can display that. The easiest way to display it is with a card. We add this card, and then the data is going to be the value we've just put in here last time. Let's see here now. That's our last date and time for this filter here. So I've just made the common mistake. You need to, if you want this to be the absolute last date and time, you need it on a report page with no other filters, and then it will always look at that last date and time. If I put it here, right, so that's fine because I've got the date set to the 18th. Now if I bring this date back, it's going to find the last known value for this filter. So the maximum date and time for what I've got set for this filter. If I want it to be the absolute, like I said, I need to have a new page with no filters on it. So if you've got one of these filters that's doing the whole report, again, that could affect it. So if I go and create a new page, so on here I've started building up these last known values with traffic lights. I've covered this on another video. So I just want it to tell me what the absolute last date and time is for these values here. So let's pull in my card again. And let's pull in my process value that I've just put in, my last time. And you'll have to take my word for it because this is a recording. 11:44. I go back to my table, go to my UTC time. 11:44. I'm not too sure if I've had a data transmission, so let's just go home, refresh, see what happens. So I've got one now, 11:59. Let's go back to my report, 11:59. But just to prove that it could be an issue if you have a filter on it, I have got a filter on it. If I just have a look at my alarm conditions, look, it's looking for the last value for the filter I've set here. So I do have to remove this filter. I'm going to remove all filters from this page. So this is just one sensor, but you can imagine if you had 20 or 30 sensors now, you could have a quick glance. You'd have the date and time here, the last time it reported in, so you could start doing some clever things with, you know it's reporting in every 15 minutes, so you can start doing some errors on here if it's missed a data transmission. But I can see the last time this transmitted that everything was healthy, and I've got the last 3 process values. Just to prove that the other screen doesn't affect it, you can see here that I've got this filter which is affecting this screen, affecting this last process value. If I go back to here, it should be today's date and the 11:59, which is the absolute last value. So there you have it, a nice little DAX command to filter your sensor data so you can generate a landing page. I hope you found that useful. As per usual, please share this with your friends and colleagues. But for now, thanks for listening and hope to see you again soon.